Welcome to Keyframers, the animated collaborative coding livestream where we bring imaginative user interfaces to life. I'm your host, Stephen Shaw, but you may know me as @Shashaw.
And I'm alive. I'm here. I'm your host, David Khourshid, also known as @David K. Piano.
And your audio should be coming through, so please, yes, check and let us know in the chat there if that is actually coming through. Otherwise, David, stop it.
Okay.
Together, we are coding compadres, animation amigos, Boolean buddies, and keyframe companions.
Yeah, so we're going to be continuing what we did last week today. Just adding a few more animations to what we've done and making it a really complete, cohesive animation for you all to enjoy.
That's right. And this show is made possible by your support. You can pledge at patreon.com/keyframers or hit the like and subscribe buttons around the video. You can also subscribe here on Twitch, and we would be happy to have you as one of our subscribers. So, yeah, hit that.
All right, yeah, and please ask questions in the chat, like, why is my face floating around on screen?
Yes, it's a beautiful face. I'm happy to have it floating around the screen again.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we're the green screen cutout is not as smooth as it
usually is. Yeah.
Usually is, yeah.
Yeah, we'll work on that.
Yeah. All right. Well, anyway, let's dive right in, I guess.
Yeah, sure.
All right. So last week we did part one of this animation. Here's our inspiration that we're following after, called Health Blog 3D Animation by Tubic. A lot of great elements happening here, and so we wanted to continue to help build out a few more of those pieces here. And right. we had a little bit of competition this week, didn't we?
Let's take a look at some of the recreations that some of the people in the community have created.
Yes, I meant to have those links pulled up. Let me get those real quick.
That's okay. With my Twitter search powers, I can find it, unless you find it first, which you probably will.
Okay, here we go. All right. Get that open and up. Let's see. To the desktop here. All right. So this was Jamie Coulter's version. The link is available in the chat there. He actually pulled a sprite sheet from the original animation.
Which is, that's a lot of dedication.
It really is.
But if you've seen Jamie Coulter's other stuff, the level of detail that he puts into his animations is like unparalleled. It's really, really, really good stuff. So yes. I expect nothing less from him.
Yeah, he really is outstanding. And the amazing part here is there's no JavaScript at all. It's all just a CSS powered animation.
I like the little comment. It's just no, which is great. And so that uses like what we've been talking about before, the checkbox hack. Or it's not really a hack. Well, it sort of is a hack. That's not what checkboxes are for, but it works really well in this case, I think. Yeah,
definitely does. And then we had another friend on Twitter here, Henry, sent this one out. He went the opposite route and used a framework instead of CSS only, but the end result is pretty awesome. Might be a way to toggle in here. I'm not clicking is not.
Right. And so using the framework is actually pretty helpful for for navigating the nav menu, you could see in the bottom over there. Because when you click on certain items using view, you could actually change which nav items appear on top and which nav items appear down below. And so that's something that's missing from both ours at the moment and also JMA's, since it's CSS only. And it would be very hard to do it just CSS and HTML. Possible, but very difficult.
Yeah, but I encourage you to check these out and send some likes their way. They've both done a excellent job at recreating this, and hopefully we'll get the same level of quality out of it. I think we can aspire to that, at least. So yeah, let's take a look at where we left off. Yeah, so last week here's where we basically ended up.
Yeah,
it looks a little better when I don't have as much code in the view. Maybe we can play with that a little bit. Yeah, we got
so
some
this
nice
is by
flipping.
no means complete, especially compared to the other ones.
Right. Which, we were on a time crunch, and I didn't have your lovely face there to inspire me, so
yeah,
slow me down a bit.
Yeah, so couple issues too. I noticed like the overall frame is changing size. So we had to work on some sizing things with this one first, but we also want to focus on the overall navigation. So
right. So going back to that main page, we're missing quite a bit of the navigation piece. We just have kind of this main column here. So we were talking a little bit about how to approach that, and so yeah, why don't we start there? Or right. you wanted to fix the layout a little bit?
Yeah, let's do some layout work right now, because right now the hero section, that's dependent on the size of the pineapple, which it should not be. And we're going to see why in a minute, because we're going to actually be adding that navigation animation that we saw in the original animation. So yeah, we had to give it a fixed height. Long story short.
Yeah, that's that won't be too bad. Let's see.
I forgot what we named all our classes. Let's see. That would be hero. Oh yeah, that's right. We named it hero. So if we look for the hero, we see that. See what's determining that size. The size is determined in the app, where we have grid template columns and grid template rows. We have 250 pix, 2.5 FR, 0.25 FR, and 1.5 FR. Actually,
so
just kidding. That's for the columns. I should be looking at.
Right. So what's happening there is the image is kind of determining the size of it.
Right. So instead, and also auto to FR auto makes no sense.
Where's?
I'm gonna say. Whoa! All right, camera.
Okay. No. What? Right.
How
so
is this?
what's happening here? So let's break down the grids. So
Okay.
the main app grid has the left column of 250 pix, and then the main content section of 2.5 fractional units, then a little spacer at 0.25 fractional units, and then this right sidebar at 1.5 fractional units. And then the rows are at auto, which is this header area here. And then the main content area at 2FR, which this could probably just be 1FR. I don't think that will actually change anything. And then auto for the footer, which we don't actually have in place yet. Yeah. And then So that's pretty much throughout the entire app. Everything's using that grid. What you were looking at earlier with the hero, that's just internally for that grid to help with with the image placement.
Right.
And so what I did is, you can see how if I toggle the image height to bump it down to 100 pixels, it sizes that area. So we could always just change the image to position absolute, right, 90%, and
yeah, good idea.
Right.
And then we could give the hero a fixed height of something, I don't know.
Top -75%.
Is 10 too small? We'll see. 10 is too small. Okay, 25. Cool. And so because we're basing this on the grid, it's not like we're hard coding. We're just giving constraints for everything inside the grid. And right now, Shaw is positioning the pineapple.
Yes.
Which, what if we did like left negative something? Or
I always like bumping over from the side, like the opposite side, if you're gonna overflow it. Just to prevent it from like flowing into this content, because this way it's only going to flow off to the left. It will never cross over right 80%.
All right, we have
that makes
bottom
sense.
-75, right, and the top. Getting these positions confused, but that should be good.
Yeah. Just a little overlap on the bottom. Responsively, that may change a little bit. All right. Looking up the
and then we need to I guess adjust the width as well. So no, 60. 8 pixel pushing. All right, that looks about right. And also, I fixed the height on the app so that now that's a fixed height as well. And you can imagine that this would just be the entire page, so 100 VH in a real application. Now we don't get that jumpiness, which is good. And so the reason we're doing this too is, again, because of the nav animation that we're going to be introducing. So we actually want to grab that value, the the hero value, and store it somewhere. So there, hero height, I'm going to put it up in the roots. And this is for that nav that we're going to be working on.
Let's see. Because we're using grid, like setting the width there seems a little odd. We can do
well, it's
that,
just your
and
opinion.
then change this width. Whoa, sorry. There we go.
All right, so while you're futzing around with the layout, I'm going to try to figure out what we could do for the, or I'm going to set up the nav menu in the HTML. So,
yes.
the question is where to put it. So, where's our hero? Okay. Funny enough, it isn't a nav already, so we have content section navigation, local class hero. Okay, yeah, we could do this. Actually, there's navs everywhere. Nav.
Yeah. Who doesn't like a good nav?
I like naps.
Okay with naps too.
All right, so yeah, hopefully that didn't break anything. I changed that nav to a div, and now we begin the navigation. I'm just gonna make it do that. And then
All right, so the basic plan here, while David's typing that out, we talked about it earlier, and what we're going to do is have two separate copies of the navigation, and what we'll do is maintain the active state between both of them, so that when you change the active item in one, it carries over to the other, and this way that red box area, if we go back to the original animation, you can see how that animates around as you change the item. So we'll have basically one of those navigations where the text is huge, and the other navigation where the text is small back behind it. Right, and let's see. Let's see. Where all we reference go. Okay, we only use hero in a couple spots, so I'm gonna say this can be active nav. Hey, what's up? Welcome everybody in the chat.
Me. Sorry about that.
I'm messing with things. Don't mind me.
Okay. Oh yeah, so by the way, having that hero, right now it's just floating about in the center. But because we want to coordinate the style between the hero and the navigation, we should probably move the hero's positioning and sizing to the overall grid. What do you think?
The hero's positioning and sizing? Well, it already is based on the main grid, unless you mean the way it's floating.
Yeah, the way it's floating. Or actually, we might not need to do that. In fact, we could move this nav inside the hero.
Well, so that div section navigation. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm covering up your face. Sorry.
Okay.
So this section navigation, what we can do is have another grid within there. In the chat, got a question. How long have you guys been working in the industry? How long have you been doing web dev professionally?
That's a good question. I want to say about 7 years or so.
All right. Yeah. Let's see. We've talked about this a little bit before. So it's been about 12 years for me since I've had like a web specific job. At your face.
Yeah, so we've been at this a while. We've done our trials and tribulations through CSS2 and even Internet Explorer hacks, all of that. Bootstrap, remember Bootstrap? And even when Bootstrap came out, I was completely against it. It was absolutely not for me.
Yeah, I think it had its place, but there's definitely a lot of problems that came with it that we're still recovering from as an industry. But in terms of just being able to, get something started, that was definitely helpful. Okay, so why did you drop a secondary nav within the active nav?
I'll show you.
Okay.
Which is not a good answer, but I will show you.
Show, don't tell.
The reason is their hero height. Oh, come on. Oh, oops.
Oh, yes. In the chat, someone was asking how could you do a 3D effect like this dribble? It's a neat little animation, not too bad. But the main interesting point is, as the cursor moves around, it tilts towards it, and thankfully El Suxo in the chat pointed out that we already did one along these lines, tilted tiles. We'll have those links available. That was a recent one that's super cool. That one.
Yeah.
So yeah, anyway.
I'm thinking about what to do. Because we want it to sort of be centered, but centered based on the
yeah, where are you in the CSS? Okay. So.
I'm down on line 241. So the idea is, this is position absolute, and this thing is somehow basically what I was thinking, and I might have been premature in this thinking, is that the active list item, which I just have as the third one hard-coded right now, should be right in the middle. But so we need to have some way of saying, like, that one should be in the middle. And I'm still trying to think of this.
Yeah. So
there's got to be a clever way to do this.
Okay. So what I was thinking. So let me move secondary nav out here. Sorry. So we want secondary nav and active nav to be display grid, and I'll adjust this in just a moment. Let's see. All right, so I really wish we had subgrid at this point. It would make life so much easier. Okay, so section navigation is going to be display grid, so that we can overlay. These will be grid area 1, grid template. And this will cause them to be overlaid, like that trick that we often do. And then what we'll do here, copy this. This is actually going to in here. Section nav, secondary. Okay, so those are good. Split this out. Do display grid.
Yeah, so the tricky part about this, at least as I'm thinking about it, is getting the active one centered, whereas the other ones should be above and below. If that makes sense. I'm trying to think. There might be some tricky math involved with how we could do that.
You mean like when you switch items?
Yeah, when you switch items. Because, like, right now we're changing the height, which is good, but the problem is going to be that it's not going to be centered unless it's the middle item, of course. So we want it to be centered, like, no matter which item it is. I'm still trying to figure out how that could work. You know what? Let me try something. All right, so I'm going to get this like data selected class. I'm just going to try something, and if this works, I'm going to freak out. All right, so basically, if we have secondary data selected, or actually position absolute, data selected, and plus whatever. Oops. Position relative. Wait, that didn't work at all.
Cool.
That did
well. So let's
not
see.
do it.
My grid. My grid might be interfering. Let's remove that. Let's do secondary nav color black for now.
It's gotta be a way to do this. Something's broken.
Yeah, you left off a semicolon.
Yeah. Happens. All right, now I see nothing.
Okay, so the problem is your selector is off, so it needs to be this.
Wait, what? All right, yeah, forget about this for now.
Oh.
Where are they? I don't see them anywhere.
So yeah, there's a couple of issues here. Forward. Okay. Be able to see it now.
Nope, still gone.
Comment that out. Let me hide.
Well, it is white, so we want this to be. Let's see, color blue. This is a tricky one. But I think that there's a way to do this. There's a few ways that we could approach this, but
where did our nav go?
wow,
So we've got
disappeared.
Keep up your face. Yikes.
Oh boy.
All right.
Is it
so
back?
let's see. Content section, secondary nav.
Okay, I'm still lost. Things have disappeared.
Okay. Oh, you've got your margin top 100%.
Oh yeah, you know what? That might be it.
That will throw things out of bounds.
Yeah, it tends to do that.
Oh goodness. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Here we are.
You know, that is an interesting CSS challenge where we want to have something centered according to what's selected, and so basically centered on that element, and that's not an easy problem to tackle. Trying to figure out. Maybe there's some flexbox trick with that.
So you're trying to center everything based on the selected item.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, I attempted something like this before when trying to make like a carousel kind of idea with some 3D transforms. There was not an easy solution to that. That was CSS. It all needed to be JavaScript driven.
Right. Well, all right. So what we could do for now then And there's an error somewhere. What's happening? Do we have our things back yet? But what we could do for now is just have two sizes. One size is the size of the hero, or the navigation hero, which is it disappeared for some reason.
Yeah, I'm hiding it so that we can try and get the secondary.
Don't worry about hiding it, because what we could do is what was I going to say? Oh, wait, no, lost it.
Right, I'm moving our nav section up a little bit.
Okay.
Be closer to active navs declarations.
Okay, I have a terrible solution, but it is a solution.
Uh-oh.
So, okay. By default, and child 1. All right, so each of these is going to be, we're going to give it a height of, let's say, I don't know, 10 VH. Let's see what that looks like. Oh, too big. But that's okay. For demonstrative purposes, that's fine. All right, so the first child, okay, 3 from, yeah, sure. And well, it's going to be then height, and then height there. And this is because we need to do some math. So the first item is going to be top calc there item height times shoot. What am I trying to do here? This involves some math. So when you did your Carousel Perch, like how were you able to do that?
What I ended up doing is, having like a translate that was set by the JavaScript instead. But
okay.
So here's what I'm thinking so far. So I went ahead and added a CSS variable to each of them, giving them the index like we typically do.
Okay. Yeah. Fair enough.
I'm gonna hide this for now, and what we'll do is set the let's see, style equals active. Let's see, data selected. Okay, let's see, we can do the active as a variable that's set in the JavaScript, and then the calculations can be done based on that, like I've done for splitting, like calculating the center of things.
Okay. Yeah, that's an interesting approach. Unfortunately, it does use JavaScript, but as far as I know, and as far as we know, there's not really a way to do this with, CSS and HTML alone.
Yeah.
And I'm sure there is. I just can't think of it right now.
Yeah,
and that's why we jumped to JavaScript.
Open up math. Be done for splitting. Sorry, still thinking through it.
I'm also adding some preliminary JavaScript. So whenever we click one of these nav items, it should show us the text. And so that's going to be very important when we actually transition between them.
You're doing what?
So go ahead and click the nav items and open up the console. So clicking them, we should see the text. And so that's going to allow us to take that text and put it in the transformed elements. Unless we're using the exact same elements, then we could just use that.
Yeah, that was the plan, but I'm not sure if that'll work.
So in one of the approaches, not by Jamie, the other one, it's using Vue, and Vue actually makes this a lot simpler because since it's part of a framework, you could actually keep track of what's above and what's below in the JavaScript itself. So,
yeah. Okay, so 100%.
So how are you tackling this now?
Okay, so what we need to do is for item height, let's go have total. We have 5 is the total. All right, so we got to get a little mathy here. So we'll do var I minus var active.
This is getting really mathy.
Which is what the people love, right?
Yeah.
Hit us up in the chat if you like math.
Love us some math.
Okay. I minus var active times var item height.
What data attribute are you using are you going to use data selected?
Well, yes and no. So I'm trying to basically use, if you look on line 12 of the HTML, I've got the style. So the active index is there and the nav total is there. I'm trying to basically calculate the offset based on the current items index and the active index.
Oh, okay.
So we've got item height there. Active.
Okay, well, that makes sense. That helps guide me in the JavaScript as well. So, because we have access to those indices in JavaScript as well.
Yes.
Which means we could set them on the, let's see, what is this?
Okay, yes. So my concept is working here. If you change that index and watch it, you can see how it's basically moving the moving them properly. It's just
cool. Yeah. So now we just have to figure out the sizing.
Right. Well, the math is still a little off. So let's do data selected, color red. We can tell which one should be our active.
So yeah, the selected one, the goal is we need this one in the center of its parents, basically. Or at the top of its parents, really. So.
Right. So we'll do plus 50% here.
Oh. I do have nav height or you do have nav height as a variable, we could use that too. And we probably should use that because the selected one is going to have that height of nav height.
Yes.
And so we need a way to, so we probably still should use that data selected attributes too. So data selected, color red, and height there, nav heights. So it should take up the entire height of the nav. And all the other ones should take up item heights, which right now is 5 rem. Should probably be less.
But yeah, I'm playing with it a little bit. And I don't know why. Yeah, why is our sizing so weird? Like on those. 50% should.
Now, are they all positioned absolutes? Or,
yes.
well, what's the deal there? They are?
Yes. So line.
That's gonna be weird.
They don't specifically have to be. It can be. Let's do relative, and take this off for now.
Well, this is looking better.
Yep.
I mean, that's correct. And then we have item height 5 rem. That should be
yes.
2.
Okay. So getting closer.
Closer.
Right. Let me change my active one here, or the selected one here. See.
Closer.
Well, I didn't.
I don't know what crazy math you're doing, but it's getting closer.
Right. Yep. Okay. So, yeah, basically what's happening. We can set this up.
Here's what you could do, by the way. Right now, these are position relative, which is good, but you're doing your math on each item. What if we did the math on the secondary nav itself? Because we know that the total height is going to be the height of the active plus the height of the other ones, and then we could just just move that one alone.
That can work. Yeah. So move that here, and then this is basically going to be our total minus our nav total selected times item height. This.
Yeah. So all right. So if we're at the third item, so selected equals what, 2?
Yeah. So let's go ahead and set up the JavaScript here. So I'm just appending to the end here. We'll do const L nav equals document query selector dot.
Wait, what are you doing? Oh no, so I have that stuff. Oh well, I have the nav items at the very top.
Okay.
Here, I'll go to the bottom where you are.
Yeah, just to make it easier to keep.
Yeah, I'll stoop down to your level. It's okay.
Thanks. Array from L secondary nav items. Click. Okay. So what we're gonna do is on L nav.
Sorry.
Okay. Nav dot style dot set property selected.
All right, so you're setting the selected CSS variable.
Right. So let's get
that I, which is that index right there.
Yes. That should work. And then delete. Okay.
So this should be working, but it's not.
Yeah. So let's check out the console, see what's happening there.
Nothing's being logged.
Nothing at all.
Or that from L secondary nav items. Did we change the HTML at all?
No.
L secondary nav items.
Well,
actually, nothing's happening at all.
Cannot read property
add event listener of null. That's very helpful. Thank you.
On line 32.
I can tell it's on line 32.
Yeah, that's way up there, so that's not even relevant. Let's move this down. Let's see. Well, hero. Oh, hero is not a real element anymore. This one should be active. Okay. All right. So there we go. All right.
Cool. We have got something going here.
Yes.
This is great. All right. Let's do some math.
Yeah. Well, let me make sure that that is being set properly. Style selected. 0. Okay. Yes, that is being set. Nav height. Did. Let's see.
I'm still wondering if there was a flexbox way to do this, but that's, yeah.
Computed.
We'll tackle that later.
Top is 0 pixels. Okay, I think it's not liking my calc setup. F total minus var selected. Guess I'm just having trouble with my calc there. Where is nav? Oh, okay, so item height needs to be up here because that's not defined. There we go. All right. Haha. That's pretty much it. We just gotta fix the positioning a little bit. By 2. Do that.
Sort of.
Right. It's about 75% there.
Yeah. Did I do something wrong? I did. Sorry.
Okay.
There
All
we
right.
go.
That's better. All right.
Fix
So we
it.
didn't even
I
need
mean,
the nav height
still.
calculated in there, but now we have our item height.
Oh my god. We finally figured this out. This is fantastic.
It is pretty great,
what's
huh?
great about doing it on the nav, by the way, and I'm going to add this real quick, is we could add a data flip key equals secondary nav just on the nav. And then we could go ahead and actually things should just work. They're not, though.
All right, so we're actually going to change this to transform, translate Y, calc,
Because
and then we can transition, transform 3 seconds linear, and get that to slide as we change.
oh, okay, so we don't even need flipping then
Not
for that part.
at this point, no.
Okay, cool.
Aha.
Now, oddly enough, it's still a little bit off. I don't know if it shows the same on yours, but on mine it's like a few pixels off.
Yeah, so there's going to be a lot of reasons for that. Part of it might be padding.
Oh, you know what? It's probably the outline.
Maybe.
Outline. So let's switch that outline just for now. In fact, we're going to get rid of it anyway. Actually, let's just get rid of it.
Yeah, that's fine.
Goodbye. Oh wait, it's border red, but that should not make a difference.
Yeah, let's leave it in there as an outline for now, so we can debug. Because part of it is coming down to the positioning in all of this. Let's see, left 80%. Okay.
All right, cool. Phew. That was interesting.
Okay, so maybe I can just play with the top a little bit.
Yeah. And I am working on getting those. So I put all of the text inside in a span, and that way we could smoothly transition those too. Or that would have to be using flip because we're literally changing the flex, or not the, well, yeah, we're transitioning flexbox. So, yeah, let's see. This got messy.
It's been messy. It's just a little more prevalent now.
Yeah, this is what happens when you do this in under 2 hours. I mean, this would be a heck of a project to ask any developer to do.
Yeah.
Block.
All right, so let me clean up some of this here and see what's happening with our
Position.
Right.
Because the position is still off and I'm trying to figure out why.
Yeah.
But that's okay. On to the next thing.
Oh no. Oh no. What has happened?
Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Just please hold on. Please hold.
I'm holding.
I mean, it's still fine.
Sure.
Yeah.
Oh.
I can explain, I promise. Okay, where's our secondary nav item? The joys of pair coding. Let's see, secondary nav item. So I'm making like a header nav item, and so just display none, all of them for now, and selected, display block. Okay, see, we're back to our regularly scheduled programming.
Sure.
We're good. Mm-hmm.
All right, why did that throw off all the alignment though?
Good question. I do not know. Yeah, for some reason that's going to bother me. The fact that it's off by it looks like 1 rem.
Well, I'm getting it off by a lot at my particular
viewport thing.
Yeah.
So well, what is up with that? Because it should be positioned absolutely based on your nav thing. I don't know.
Yeah. Okay. Let me see.
So nav item thing. Listeners. So we're going to set that one.
And so what I did, the active item is set on LNav, so that's fine. It's just a matter of toggling the selected properly between the nav items. Here. This doesn't need to be top 50%, does it? Shouldn't be.
Oh, what happened?
I'm just
Yeah, this is getting a little crazy. It's all going to make sense at the end.
Well, this is why frameworks are invented.
I guess so. Yeah. So you don't have to do all this manual stuff.
Yeah.
Okay. And yeah, so that's one of the tricky things when you have like these pre-built animations. They you could sort of hard code or hard animate. I don't know what the term is in After Effects. Each of these things, but because we're assuming that we're going to have some dynamic data, then it makes things a little bit trickier.
Yeah.
So.
Centered.
Yep. They should be.
Okay.
Yes. Check it out. So now when you click each one of the items, it changes in the main one too.
It does.
So that's good. And right now we're just doing a display non-display block sort of thing.
Goodness, where am I? Go. Let's see.
You figured it out yet?
Well, I'm trying to get the sizing right there. I don't quite know what's happening here.
Yeah, this is where 2 monitors really helps. So you could have the dev tools open in one, and yeah.
Yeah, unfortunately, I have your face open in one.
Freaking. All right, so for lists, always make sure get rid of your margins, get rid of your paddings, because that's going to mess you up.
Yep. Let's see.
So now, right, so where's our header nav items? That's the key. Hopefully I didn't destroy the HTML. Okay, we're good. Honestly, it looks like for the nav, all you have to do is, bump it up negative 100% and you're good. Or negative, the height of the thing.
Yeah, so it might just be negative 50% plus. Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, close enough.
Well, there's... okay.
Yeah, and we might want to make this wider as well, like sort of fixed width wider.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out, like, with the grid, for some reason it's not spacing that, it's not sizing those elements properly. Display grid. Grid columns, percent. Whoa.
Don't worry, I'm a professional. Okay, we're back on track. Yes. Now it's nice and wide.
Yeah, I don't know. As really strange. Let's just take off align content. No, we want align content. Justify content. Take that off. Go. There we go. Okay, it's looking all right. This.
We're getting there.
Yeah.
I've said that a few times.
Nice. You even got that animation in there.
Sort of, yeah. I'm trying to remember what we did for the animations going in the correct direction, because that's important. Like, for example, if we go up, then of course all of the animations go up. I think it was the fact that data selected and the other ones were item for transition, or sorry, transform, translate Y 100%. So, yeah, I think that's it. That looks about right. Now, that pineapple is screwing things up.
Yeah, which that should technically change out with the item.
Are you sure? Yeah.
Let's just hide that for now.
Okay.
So that we can get this text portion right.
Yeah. Because it's almost centered, I think.
Right, so I changed the item height, and then that threw everything off.
Okay.
Which, should not be the case.
I spy a margin on the damn secondary nav.
Well, yeah, that's...
No. That's throwing everything off.
It is not throwing anything off. It was fixing everything, David.
Nope.
So let's see. Here.
It was doing no such thing.
Auto here. Okay. All right, so there's part of the issue. That was not... Yeah, that was not centering. Okay, so... Let's see. -1. +1. That's closer.
Yeah, but there's still...
Right, that's what that
something.
0.5 rim was for. I don't know why. Hey, what happened? Oh no.
Get rid of it. It's seriously throwing everything off.
Pretty dang close. Pretty dang close. I don't know why changing the item height is affecting it so drastically. It should.
Yeah.
Everything should be determined off that in a mathy way. But this is why I did not major in math.
Did it?
Did not.
For someone who seems so happy to do math, I would have guessed that you did.
Math and I are not good friends. Gosh, weird. It might be because we're not factoring in the nav height in there.
Yeah, maybe.
But basically what's happening is we should be doing a negative margin based on the one that's, or a negative translate based on the number before the selected. That's what this math is supposed to be for.
Okay, yeah. So I'm finally taking a look at your math. This is one of the crazier calcs I've seen. I've seen a few calcs in my day. Oh, there we go. That looks centered.
Almost.
Barely. Yeah, like what is...
Okay, so negative 50%. If we take that off, we're not getting anything.
Well, all right, so let's see how else we could do this. We know that whatever the selected items, like I'm telling you, there's got to be a much, much simpler way to do this. So first of all, top is 0, right? I hope top is 0.
Yeah, well, it's position relative. They're just overlapping thanks to grid.
Okay, you sure? So if I take this transform off, it'll be positioned exactly above the other one?
Yeah.
It's not. No, it doesn't look like it. You see, there's still a little bit of a gap.
What gap? Well, so they're centered with each other. It's not that the selected item is centered.
That's weird. Okay, let's take a look at where the secondary nav is. The secondary nav is inside section navigation.
Right. So section navigation also has content, which is display grid, which has aligned content center. So they should both of those elements are centered
with each other.
Right. But that doesn't mean that heart the selected one is centered within that. That's what that transform is intended to do.
So does that secondary nav no longer have the height on it? Like the nav height?
It shouldn't need it. Basically what we want to do is have a negative translation. Okay, so this should be times -1 as well. Okay, so see, getting a little...
it's still all over the place.
Yeah, 50% plus.
Close, sort of.
Yeah, it's not doing anything. Oh, because that was outside of the calc, 50% plus.
Close. Sort of.
Yeah, not quite. So what we had before was negative 50%.
Close.
-1. Okay. Item height. All right. So see, this is basically what we want. Let's do.
And honestly, yeah, this should work fine for our intents and purposes. But we should probably make the actually, yeah, that sort of works. I think.
Yeah, let's.
This one is definitely mind-boggling.
That's the problem with math. Was I? Okay, that's
all right. Well,
that's pretty close.
Another animation at the same time, and so we could say
what we'll do here is opacity 0, and this will be opacity here. We'll take these debuggers off here. This can actually go behind. Doesn't need to overlap. Oh, and part of the issue is display.
it's going to get very interesting keyflections.
Yeah. Display. Oh. Content items. Shouldn't. Content center. What's that? Okay, you did all the text in a span, so why aren't those centering outlines?
Why aren't they centering?
Oh, okay, the text is centered in them already. All right, so never mind.
Oh, wait, should it be centered or should it be aligned?
No. That was it's my mistake. I was trying to get the actual centering of the text itself going, but you had already done that. All right, just cleaning up a bit here.
Mm-hmm. That's the fun part when you have to clean up. Oh, shoot. Are you still working on centering them?
Yeah.
This is too funny. I mean, I'm glad you are. It just seems like a pain in the ass.
It is. Right, I'm just going to leave that magic number there for now.
Yeah, magic numbers are great.
Oh, nice. That text animation's looking good. All right, so where are you at on that?
Yeah, close enough. The durations could be tweaked because there's some overlap in the text, but I actually think it gives it a cool effect.
Yeah, I dig it. So
Yeah,
where is that actually happening?
That's happening down on line 224 or so, and that's just using our techniques that we've used before.
Okay.
Yeah.
224.
Mm-hmm. If you're thinking, there's got to be a better way to do this, then you're absolutely right. And that's the tricky part about animating on the web.
Yes, it is.
Because at least in things like disability hidden, things like iOS and Android, you have some native animation like facilities for you to use, which work out pretty great.
Yeah.
But
All right.
still not centered.
So what I'd almost like to do is strip out everything but this animation to make it just more understandable, and then do keyflections.
Yeah, that's maybe a good idea.
So let's go ahead and just strip out all the other cruft so that this will be easier to understand. Fucking sidebar, like all these guys gotta go.
Oh boy, this hurt our brain. It hurt my brain at least.
Take off search. Articles BG, get out of here. And then back here to the grid. Take off this. centering that. So,
This is some surgery that you're doing.
yeah. Oh, geez. Are the click events not working for you now?
Nope.
Okay. Well, oh, yeah. Part of that is because we need to move all of this.
Goodbye. And now everything's gone.
Right. What is happening? Let's see what the console has to say. So we should be at data state 0. Oh. Okay, so that's what it is. We got to strip out that state stuff in there.
Yeah. I'm just gonna not touch anything.
Yeah.
Lest I destroy the whole thing. But you know what? Deleting code is the best way to delete bugs, because deleted code is debugged code.
Data scene, data active.
So that's what we're doing right now. We're debugging code.
All right, getting closer.
Yep, still not centered. I'm sure, why? This is probably a challenge that we should post to the community. How would you center an item on a list depending on which item is active? So basically center it on the active item. There has to be a way to do this.
Yeah, that's it's a tough challenge. Let's see. Articles we can remove. Article G, get that out of here. Sidebar, get that out of here. Header. Did you do? Is header nav something? Okay, yes, that is. She did. Get that. That. Text. Nav title. I don't think we're using anymore. No, we are. Okay. Fine. You can be back in there.
Thank you. I still don't like your centering. I don't know what you do.
Yeah, we'll go back and tweak. It's
all right. I'm very offended by the centering.
Break. All right. I think we're closer here. Now let's go back and do some tweaking to see what's happening. So,
active. With the centering?
Yeah. Outline. Text red.
You know what I just thought of?
What?
Instead of doing all the math, you know how cranes have counterbalances, or whatever they're lifting, they have to have the equal amount of counterweight on the other side?
Yeah.
What if that counterweight was padding?
Okay.
So we dynamically adjust the padding of the, or at least like a pseudo element or something, but padding's just the easiest thing I can think of right now. And so whatever is selected, let's say that the third item is selected. That means we have 2 unselected items before that. Well, actually, that would be centered anyway. Let's say the first item is selected. So we have 0 selected items before that, which means that we need to add a counterbalance before that of 4 times the item height. And then it would work. Want to try it?
So is it centered for you now?
Let's say no, just so you can try my thing.
Well, I'm just saying let's do a save state.
Okay.
And then we can.
Right now it is as centered as it possibly could be.
Okay. All right. So I am just copying and pasting. All right. And now you can do what you're describing.
Nope, we're good.
What?
Let's see that for another episode, because I have ideas floating around in my head, and that idea might not work, but there's other ideas that might.
Okay.
So, yeah.
All right. Well, yeah, we'll take this as a stopping point then, and enter into Keyflections.
Yes.
All right. So welcome to Keyflections. This is the part of the show where we cover the techniques used to create today's animations. If you have any questions, now's a great time to ask in the chat or leave a comment, and we'll be happy to answer.
Yeah. And so if you've enjoyed watching us struggle so far, you can please follow and subscribe here on Twitch or YouTube, or pledge at patreon.com/keyframers, and help us out, because the more you support us, the more we find solutions to this elusive centering problem. It's pretty bad.
Yes, it is. Wow. Okay. Yeah. When I'm changing height, it's breaking. Goodness.
Hey, thanks for following Playing with Scissors.
Yes, thank you so much. All right. So basically, we were mainly focused on this this text animation on the first part of Health Blog 3D animation by Tubic, mostly focused on the way the navigation transitions here.
Mm-hmm.
And we started off from where we left off last week, and that proved troublesome. So what we've done is we've stripped out pretty much everything to get down to mainly what matters. And so just looking at the HTML real quick here, we have two copies of the navigation, and this is for a few different reasons, but mainly because we need to have separate animations happening for this list, and then for the items themselves. Let me bump up the z-index here, because I think something weird is happening. Oh, okay. I think I know what. Okay, that jumping was for other reasons. All right, so basically, secondary nav and header nav are the same items and same everything, and each of them has an index variable, and then we have the total of them up here, and what is selected currently here. And so this should say data selected, well as down here. Oh, no, that's already in there. Sorry. All right, so we have our default state. And then down in our JavaScript, we just have some simple selectors that loops through whenever one is clicked. It sets the selected variable on section navigation to match that index. And it also removes the data selected attribute and adds it to the current one, which gives us this sliding ability based on the massive calc happening here. So basically, what's happening? We have these two elements overlapping each other, and they should both be centered, though they're a little off. We'll try and figure that out a little bit after. And what's going to happen is this translate y translates it -50%, and then adds the nav total minus the selected. So we've got a total of 5, which actually that should be 4, maybe. I don't know. That's going to throw things off. So for now, let's just leave that at 5. And so what that's doing is, if 3 is selected, then that moves it up 2. And the item height here is another variable we set that each of these items should be adhering to, except for the selected one, which is kind of a larger height. So the math there is off somehow. Yeah. It needs to be adjusted. We'll play with that and make a note. And will you explain the text animation that you have happening there with header nav item?
Yeah, all things considered, that was actually the easier part. So the reason that the text animation was a lot easier is because it looks like things are sliding just like the secondary nav, except every single item is on top of each other, and that's just position absolute. So because they're on top of each other and the same size, then we could use our usual tricks for animating based on what is showing, what was showed, and what is going to show. So the active element, we just have it sliding based on whichever direction it's coming from, and the all the items before, we have it translating negative 100%, so they're going up, and all the ones after the active one translate 100%, so they transition down, which works out pretty well. So again, in review, the active one transitions into 0. The inactive ones, depending on whether they're before or after the active ones, transition up or down. Yeah. And to get that staggered effect, number one, I'm not using a stagger or a traditional stagger. So I'm not using a delay. I'm increasing the duration of the second one, and that's going to give you a more organic stagger, which is closer to the animation. So that's one special technique we're using. And also, Overflow hidden gives it that nice cutout effect. And that's it.
Yeah, and I'm going to play with that stagger a little bit here. Let's see. So I think we want this one to be shorter and this one to be longer. Something like that. Fine as is. Just something to play with. But yeah, that little adjacent sibling selector is super handy for these kinds of animations, because you can basically specify what all of the items before something should look like, and then what all of the items after something should look like. So that's a handy trick we use frequently. So get familiar with it.
Mm-hmm.
Welcome to Keyframers. Kind of wanted to follow up and keyflect a little bit, because we ended off with some math that was a little strange. So I took a moment and just cleaned that up a little bit. Tried to get David here, but he's currently flying. So here we go. So one of the things we did was cleaning up all of the extra stuff that doesn't need to be there, since we were mainly focused on the navigation this go around. So that's what's left. And the main thing we want to focus on is this content section navigation. So within here, we've got the two navigations like we talked about. The secondary nav is the black text down here. The header nav is this white text within here. Those are kept in sync whenever you click one of these secondary nav items. This selected CSS variable gets updated. That's what this is here. And then we remove data selected from all the other ones that are selected, and we add data selected to the header nav item and the secondary nav item. So that's the basic JavaScript setup that we already talked a little bit about, just clarifying that again. So here's the real math fix that I ended up with. So on our secondary nav, This is a little magic numbery, but it's there just to help with the alignment a little bit. If I take that off, see, it's just a little off for some reason. So that's in there. But the main chunk is right here. So transform, translate Y, and then we're doing a calc in here. So we've got the nav total, which is 4 in this instance. That's this CSS variable here. And then the selected minus the selected item. So when you start out, that's 3. So 4 minus 3 times the item height. And so that's what causes everything to shift nice and smooth whenever you select an item. And then there's an additional transform down here on the secondary nav items. So that's all of these individual list items shown here. So whenever so the default state of them is to transform, translate Y, up the negative nav height plus the item height, and that's what causes them to shift up above this box here. Remember, this box in this kind of area is all set by this nav height variable. So this transform shifts them up above. But if it's the selected item or one of the items after the selected item, it's just translate Y0, so that that causes them to appear down below. And then the other items are shifting up top. It's a lot of shifting and adjusting, but this should be a little cleaner of an approach overall, and the math should be a little more clear. There is also one other adjustment. So the header nav items, that cool text effect that David did, I did one adjustment to that, which was adding that visibility toggle that we've done before, where you have a transition delay equal to the duration applied to a visibility transition. So they go from hidden to visible. And when they're appearing, there's no transition delay, but when they're disappearing, there's a transition delay equal to the duration. So the visibility is in place while it's moving, but then when it disappears, or when the animation is done, it toggles to be invisible. And what that does is allows us to jump from the last item all the way to the first item, but we only see the relevant text. If I take that visibility hidden off real quick, you'll see all the other nav items transitioning to get into the proper place, which is just not great. So anyway, that's a quick update. Here's the rest of the episode. Well, cool. I think that's all we've got for today. Anything else from you?
Yeah, that is all I got for the rest of the week.
Yeah, it's hurting the brain a little bit here.
Oh yeah.
But you have been watching Keyframers, the animated collaborative coding live stream. If you have enjoyed this episode and would like to see more from David and I, there are many ways you can support us, primarily subscribing and participating in these live streams each week, and liking and subscribing at youtube.com/keyframers. We'll have this video up there, as well as all of our archives are there. So youtube.com/keyframers. You can also pledge to support us at patreon.com/keyframers, and that really helps us out each month. So check that out.
Yeah, so we do accept submissions for future episodes. This was part 2 of a challenge that we started last week based on something posted on Twitter, where it was sort of a self-challenge. I looked at it and I'm like, you know what, challenge accepted. So, but you could present challenges to us, because we love to do challenges where it seems like, I guess, almost impossible, which today it felt like it was almost impossible. And, you could also present questions or challenges, and we will answer them on the air. So please share this video and show all of your friends and family how much we failed before somehow succeeding.
Yes, we appreciate all of that, and we're so thankful for you joining us today. But that's all we have for now. So thank you for joining us. Until next time, adios, amigos.
Adios.